The intent of this session, so we are doing it the second time around. I think, Carlos, I remember you were there the previous time. I can't remember if Raina was there. Oh, no, she was not able to make it. But the objective is to two, three folds, right? At a higher level, after a class is done, Brian went through a session earlier this week for people to give some time to work on these AI products or tools and then see what they have to share. They may have uncovered something, they may have certain questions they want to do. So that's one opportunity area here. The second thing is we're also bringing people from a few different sessions. So far, we have done three sessions and we are on to our fourth. So also a good way for us to bring people from different sessions and network. And the profile of a lot of us are we are trying to build products, granted at different technical levels, but the idea is that everybody's trying to build something, right? So that's the second reason. The third is also use this as a platform for us to showcase what we have been building, get some ideas, thoughts, and inputs, right? So that's really the third one. I know, Carlos, you did the last time. Rhino wants to show something today. So I'm happy to show a couple of things that I'm also doing. But at the highest level, that's really what we are trying to do. And lastly, from Swati and my objective is to see how do we create engagement in some of these sessions. It's not Carlos did the session and Raina like a month and a half ago. Sarge did somewhere in between, and Brian was the latest. How do we keep ongoing engagement? So we're also looking for ideas. So we'll talk a little bit about a newsletter towards the end of the day. We have this community WhatsApp group, but what's a good way for us to all stay in touch? So we'll open it up to see what thoughts and ideas you have, but we really want to embrace that community builder mentality and then move forward. Okay. So that's at
Great.
the highest level. Sorry, if you have anything more to add, feel free. If not, any other inputs from people.
No, that sounds great. Sounds like a plan.
Okay. So for today, so more tactically, right? So what I'll do is, I know in some of our classes, we stopped short of me spending more time on Cursor or Claude. So I'll try to do that today for a little while. And I know, Raina, you want to show something. Maybe if you want to go next, Carlos, you can go after that. Maybe let's
Okay.
time box it to about 10 minutes each. And Sasha, I don't know if you want to show something, you're here to learn or whatever you want to do. If you want to showcase something, let me know. And then Brian, from your side, I mean, saying if you had questions, if you had topics, any other aha moments since the time you went through the class, look forward to fielding that. And Kumar, I know you didn't go through the session yet, but if you have any questions or topics, there is nothing stopping us. So we're trying to really get started. Okay. All right, sounds good. So the first thing I'll do is I'll share a couple of my screen. So I'll generally talk about two types of app frameworks that I'm building. The first one is probably not an app. So the first one is, so we have websites. So we have covered you if you wanted to create your own personal website, if you had a small company, like how would you stand it up? So example that we have is this AI musings that we are working on is generally becoming more of a business that Swati and I are really looking at how to foster it. For a situation like this, like where would you go, what would you host, right? So definitely you could do it with Gamma. So you could use gamma.app, build your own website, and you can plug it to your domain. Your domain could be in GoDaddy, it could be in Namecheap. You can connect Gamma to that and it can easily be done. So I can just to revisit that, I will show you. So if I go to one of my things here, if I see settings, so this is my one of my main holding company, Pulsar Ventures. I have a Gamma page for it. From Gamma, I have connected it to pulsarventures.io domain. This domain is hosted in Namecheap, right? So pretty straightforward to do. And I mean, I've built a website out of it. So it looks something like this. There is a landing page. I mean, it talks about some of the offerings, the products, and all those things. Now, then I gravitated to something slightly different, and I'll tell you the reasons why. So now I've moved from Gamma to some of the other websites that I have. So I rebuilt another website called with the same thing .co, and then I have aimusings.site. I moved all of this to GitHub for a few different reasons. So one of them is I have a code repo so that all of the files that I touch, everything I can save it in a source control system. Second thing is I'm now writing each of them in Markdown. So I can write all of this as a MD file and I can still host it from GitHub. So you can use any editor you want to work with Markdown files. It could be Obsidian, it could be Google Doc, it doesn't really matter. So I write it in Cursor besides the point, but you can keep all the files in Markdown. And really what it helps me do is a very fast vibe coding. So yes, I probably can do it in Gamma also. I think they've released the agent mode right now. But when I did this 2, 3 weeks ago, I didn't have a vibe coding platform. I would have to go slide by slide and edit it. It was taking me much longer to do it compared to I'm already coding multiple things. So why don't I also build a website through this? It doesn't matter what the content was. So it helps me to very quickly vibe code. I'll show you that in a second. And then I have also built CI/CD pipeline. So the moment I hit save, I hit publish, my code gets submitted immediately. The changes in a minute or two, it will reflect on the website also. And then in this particular case, that's not the example, but if I wanted to work in teams where 2, 3 people are working on the same domain, for example, there is a lot more source control when I work on this compared to something else. Okay. So I'll just pause here for a second before I show the demo. Does it make sense? Do you guys have any questions?
Yes, I do have questions. When you talk that you have this on GitHub, sorry, is you work locally on your repo and you sync with GitHub, or you work directly on GitHub?
No, locally,
Okay.
let me open GitHub. I don't know how to work directly on GitHub, but I'm just
Okay.
saying
Yeah.
like
Okay.
I keep all of my source code here. So if I go to my repos, I have about 20, 25 repos doing
Sure.
different things. And you can see here, this is the website that I have that holds all the code for aimusings.site.
Okay.
And I hold it there and I can see several changes that I did to it, and I have a local client in GitHub. So if I look at this, it gives me a history of all the things that I've done. So all of these changes, I just did it over the last couple of weeks, but I code here in Cursor. And when I commit my code, it will automatically get pushed to GitHub
Okay.
and then it will
Okay.
automatically publish.
Okay. Okay. That's part of your development. You code locally in your development machine, and then you're pushing periodically. And then when you push, the CI/CD pipeline pushes that further into the production server, the one that hosts the website or something like that?
Correct. So it will
Okay.
take the code and automatically push it. So GitHub Pages gives a ability to host any MD file. So typically I would host it on AWS. Here, GitHub also gives you a hosting option. So if your page is very light, I don't have
Hmm.
to go and pay money also. GitHub automatically provides it.
Okay. Good.
Okay,
Thank you.
so these are, for example, I can have code control. I can see what was done, what was
Yeah.
not done, like everything. I have a good idea of what I've been coding. So now, again, you could do all of this in Gamma, but just that it gives me a lot more fine-grained ability to do things.
A-
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So now let me just show you one or two small things, right? So the last time I talked to you guys about how I use Gemini or Claude inside the terminal. So for example, I am in Cursor. So you can see this is Cursor. But within Cursor, I have Claude running. So I'll show you a couple of changes I just recently made. If I go to the main website, yesterday Swati and I were talking about we have launched a YouTube channel, by the way, and we have the WhatsApp community. So we wanted to feature for people to join these in the main hero section of the page. So when I want to do something like this, I just have to come and talk to AI here to say, go do this. So for example, I'll just say, I'll show you where I started.
Hey Shri, can you zoom it in a little bit?
Yeah, let me see how to zoom. I have
Chart otherwise.
uh, all right, let me see how to zoom here. I've never done this. View. Or let me see if I can do like this.
This is better. I think you just
Isn't it a
get it.
plain Control plus
Yeah.
3? Does
Yeah,
Control plus work? I believe it works.
yeah, it's working. Okay. Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you, Carlos. Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, so if you see here, all right. Okay, so I basically said, can you go ahead and add this link to the WhatsApp community? So it went and figured it out what to do. So I'll show you the second change that I asked it to do. But basically, I'm asking it to say, go do this. Add a call to action button on the hero section. So where I can just go talk to it to see whatever it wants to do. So it's really the same thing that we have seen in Lovable or we have seen in parts in the Mind Studio class. I can just go talk to it to say what I wanted to do. So then it'll come up with something, then I'll see I don't like this, I like this. Effectively, I'm in the same section coding all these things in one shot or two shot. So I built the whole website in 2, 3 hours just sitting and talking about it, right? So some of the changes I made could be, hey, I want you to add a carousel to go and add these 8 images in. So it automatically figures out what to do there. So the time it took for me to build these websites was not really that long for me to do. Now, granted, I know how to build pipelines and stuff, so it was easy for me to set up the repo and go through it. But once I do it, the activity of doing it is very fast to do. Okay, let me do this. Okay, so if I wanted to add in the social section, I say that also add the YouTube channel and WhatsApp community to the social thing. Let me show you how to do it. So I could say, and I can also run it in my local before I'm ready to commit it. Okay, so still coding. Okay, so now it has done something. So let's see, for me to verify this service running on my local. So it has added YouTube and WhatsApp. So then I can say when I click on YouTube, it opens YouTube. And when I click on WhatsApp, it goes to WhatsApp. Okay. Which is really all I wanted, right? So now I can say I'm done with the code. So I'm not really looking at, Kumar, you were asking, like, what do you mean by vibe coding? So it's not like I'm opening the app and trying to figure out where is the HTML. So the objective was pretty straightforward. Add two buttons, and when you click on the button, go to a hyperlink. But I'm not really spending time. I'm not searching the hyperlink where it is. It already knows I've already added it to the hero section. I'm just talking to it super conversationally to say, do the same thing and add two buttons there. Okay. So now once I'm done with that, so now that I see whatever I want is working, I can just go here to say, so now it automatically, I'm committing my code, Carlos. So I've added my code into GitHub. So just push the code to GitHub, like in a couple of minutes. So I'll show you my GitHub actions. If I go to, so it is being deployed right now. So it'll just take a couple of minutes and the website will update.
Yeah.
So it's up to me, like, do I want to code multiple things in one session or I just want to do one control at a time? But I have a lot of control over what is happening. And if I want to revert it, I can say, okay, I made a mistake. I can also do a lot of these things in Gamma, but it's a lot more fine grained for me to do.
Yeah. And I guess in the end, Sri, a combined approach is going to be what's optimal, right? So it's
Yes,
like
you,
Gamma
yeah,
or
so
Wix or those tools give you the head start, the kickstart, and you can use some of the features of those tools to design, but then you can fine tune with vibe coding and it's more effective, I would say.
yeah, I would agree. Because if you especially want to share your design with somebody else, ask them, hey, this is really what I'm thinking. Can we do it? So you can do a lot of prototyping there, right? So right now I'm on my main website. The channel is here. That's really all it took for me to do it, right? Yeah, I think that's the idea. So it's the same. The concept of vibe coding is the same, regardless of the tool or platform you use. Just wanted to showcase that. So that was one.
Sri, Sash has a question. In fact, I was going to ask you to cover that.
Oh,
No, it's just nothing much. I was wondering why you just don't do everything within Claude, because Claude manages my repo also. It checks in, checks out, commits. It
oh,
does.
you mean committing the code from Claude?
Yeah, like you went specifically to a Ruby terminal and you had to manually check it in and things like that. So I just literally talk to Claude and have it do it all.
No,
So
I do that too. Yeah. So for example, the difference you will see here is that I wanted to just show to Carlos what I meant by committing code. But
Sure.
in this change list, if you see Sash, like Claude committed the code. So I do both.
oh, okay, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. So the
Yeah,
only time sometimes I have multiple branches. So I'll give you a different example. So if I'm working on a bigger code, yeah, Claude can actually, it can do multiple steps. So not only do I check in, I can also ask Claude to merge from one branch to another branch.
Yep.
Correct.
So I do branch merging also. It's just that, yeah, I just want to show what it is.
What I did and the rest of the community, I created. I am an engineer on top of a nerd, now on top of a CFO for 35 years by mistake, and I love technical specifications. Right, engineers use those a lot, civil engineers, and what I created was a tech spec or a standard for version control and for code development, right? So every time I am interacting with the Claude or every couple of prompts, I remind it of the standard, and it knows that whenever it's developing, it needs to commit. It needs to first check out a branch and only work in a branch. And as changes are happening, it commits the changes and then it pushes them. But because it's a standard, right? I don't need to
Yeah.
remind it to do it. So it has worked well for me.
Yeah. 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 I think, yeah, those are all like, so I'm just trying to show, I have several MD
Mhm.
files for how I wanted to do certain things. So
Exactly.
yeah, you can set up
Exactly.
quite a few things on how you wanted to do certain things. So I do have the same things.
Yeah.
Kumar, you had a question?
Yeah, even in the chat, I'd asked the question, when you're trying to do coding, is cursor the right thing or Claude the right thing? And you made a statement that as people get used to it, they'll figure out which is right for them. However, when you were showing what you were showing, you said, I'm working in cursor. And on the right, there were three things there, and Claude was one of them. So that means you have cursor and Claude mixed together in order to do the work which you're doing. Did I understand that correctly? Or
Right. So I have Gemini also. Like I can say, I use two, three agents at the
so
same time.
Claude and Gemini, they are inside cursor.
Correct. Yes. So you typically call Claude like from a terminal. So most of the time, so people would do something like this. So I figured like, why do it outside when I can just be here? And I also want to see allow access. I also want to see what it is doing because I can see here what type of files it touched. So it gives me better control. I can also see that through Git status, but I'm still used to using IDE. So you don't have to use cursor. You can use VS Code plus Claude.
So for example, I was thinking I will start with cursor, but I was not thinking that I'll use Claude as well. But you have cursor and Claude together, and cursor itself, independent of Claude, can also be used in order to write code.
Correct. Yeah, so you can use, so I'm just using, I started with cursor. I wanted to start figuring out what Claude Code is all about. So instead of running Claude Code separately, I brought Claude Code into this. And the way I started using it was if one of them committed the code, the other one, I would ask, how good do you think this code is? So I would use it as somebody that would review the PR. And I would
Okay, thank
sometimes
you.
ask the other one to test it. So the point is, it doesn't have to be cursor for you. You can use VS Code. You could use the same thing with Gemini. Sometimes I play with Gemini and Claude Code. The other reason is that I code quite a bit every day. Okay, so I will run out of credits very fast. And Claude will say, come back in 5 hours. Okay, I don't know, Sash, if you've seen it, it'll say, come back at 3 p.m. Eastern. What am I supposed to do till then?
Yeah,
So then I will
you
invoke
have the
something
trick.
else and start doing it.
So what you do for that, I've run into that. What you do is when you know you're going to do a heavy session, a couple of hours before that, just come and say hi or do something. Just put in a single, just tell it hi and go away because the window starts from that point onwards. I've been in a heavy session once where I ran out of time and then I did some Googling and found out people are doing that successfully.
So
So
say that
just do
again. So
that.
if you say hi a few hours earlier, what does it do?
Yes, basically just give it a single prompt or give it one prompt. Let's say you're going to be coding heavily from say 11 to 1. Then around 8 o'clock, you would come in and just say, hi, Claude, and leave that terminal open and just go about your work. And then when you come back around 11 o'clock and start doing, your timer has started from 8. After that, you
I
will get subsequent,
got
you
it.
will see, you'll get multiple 5-hour windows without losing your heavy session.
Okay, got it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's 5 hours from when you
You start, when you first
initially
interacted.
got it. Got it.
Yes.
Not 5 hours of usage. Got it. That's
No,
good to
no,
know.
it's first, yeah.
That's a good hack.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
what
I ran. Yeah,
yeah.
I got it. I got stuck twice, and so that's what I did Googling and tested it out, and it works nice.
Yeah, so what I've found out is Google gives pretty decent credits, Gemini, CLI. So I'll start with Gemini and everybody has two, three Google accounts. You can switch around.
Yeah, but see, the context builds, right? And so I've tried all of these. I think no one comes close to Claude when you're doing code.
That's what I'm, no, I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
in complete agreement with that, because if you break down your use cases to say, I'm only working on a story, not a complete epic. And if you start thinking like that, you can quickly get something done and move on to the next thing. So some of it is
Okay.
also like how you break down, and I agree that some problems you're really trying to brainstorm. So I typically then don't do something so big in one shot. So anyway, it's a matter of preference also.
Correct.
If I re-ask my question, and again, I have not worked with any of that. I have not done any of the coding so far, so I'm a complete newbie. So would it be okay? Because I don't want to keep on exploring. I can do this also and that also. Is it okay to just work with cursor only
You can, yeah.
and forget Claude, forget Gemini, and just get used to it
Yeah.
before I try to navigate to other things?
Yeah. So you get started in getting started is the main thing. So get started with that, then you will find what works for you may be different from someone else. And I know Carlos showed something called Warp a couple of weeks ago. So I would really get started. And for getting started, Cursor is pretty good. They have their own models, and you can also invoke different models if you need to. And then they ran a promotion. Once in a while, they'll run promotions so that you can use all of ChatGPT 5 for free for 2 days or 3 days or one day. They had the option. So there is definite benefit of also just staying in Cursor itself.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good.
Mention one more thing. So, Kumar, Sri already addressed it. But as we say in our workshops, what tool you're using is less important as you're getting started. So start wherever your starting point is, whether it's with a low-code vibing tool such as Lovable, Replit, and all those systems, or you could start with Cursor. It's less important in the beginning what tools you're using. It's more important to get started, to get comfortable with the idea of vibe coding. And also in that, develop your own building patterns. Even just here today, as you heard, Shri has a different pattern, Carlos has a different pattern, Sash has a different pattern, I have a different pattern. So you'll develop your own pattern eventually on what tools you use and how you go about developing. That's less important. Get started with your building journey. Pick one tool, go at it, and then you can add more.
One other question which I'd also asked in the WhatsApp chat is, let's say I start working with cursor. I choose that as my starting point. And as you said, start doing something. And I get function. And what I was told is better to work in a laptop environment than in a cloud-based environment. So get it, make the working localhost colon something work. But then I really want to make sure that it gets into a production environment, which is on AWS. And therefore, I really want to make sure that the CI/CD pipeline is there. When is the right time to figure out that I write that one line code and get it into CI/CD into production, or spend a lot of time trying to get the functionality before you figure out the CI/CD and production capability?
That's on your app and what you're trying to build, right? So it depends on what the use case is and how are you trying to go reach the users. You may need enough functionality for you to even show it to other people, and that could be one feature or 10 features. So it depends on what you're trying to build. But you could independently establish the CI/CD pipeline, right? All the pipeline is doing is whatever you have committed to GitHub, it is pushing it to AWS. So that's like a little bit independent. And where I run into, so now some of my apps have double environments. I have dev and then I have main. So you will get into when do you do development work? And if you're just doing solo, you will not run into these kind of issues. So when you work with 3, 4 people at least, then you will run into he's also doing it, I'm also doing it. But you can just set up a simple AWS CI/CD to go from GitHub to AWS. And then depends on what your AWS architecture is. You have to stand up EC2 and all those things, right? So it depends. Yeah. So the point I was trying to make with the online IDEs, you will just feel much faster. It, for some reason, it also feels like it's on your laptop compared to the cloud. It natively works much faster compared to pushing a button. There is internet traffic. It will slowly come back. Remote debugging is much harder. So I think for those reasons, it's better to code on Cursor. But the other
No.
point I was going to add is just because you started from Cursor doesn't mean you cannot write another Epic in Claude. These are all super interoperable, okay? So they're all pretty smart. So I'll tell you. So I started on a different project where the person was using Firebase Studio from Google. And from there, I switched to Gemini CLI. And from Gemini CLI, we switched to Claude. So they are all trained on relatively similar data. It's not like Claude knows 100% more than Gemini does. There are some rough edges like here and there, but generally they will all know how to code. And I've done analysis where I took the whole architecture and I had a column where Claude gave me a breakdown, what is good, what is bad, and Gemini also did the same thing. So it's all possible. Okay. All right. So maybe I'll pause now. And if there is more questions, I can come back later. I only had one other thing that I was going to visit to talk about my architecture and what I'm doing, but maybe I'll give time for a couple of other people. And if there is time, I can talk more. Okay. All right. So I'll pause now. Raina, are you ready or?
Yes, I'm actually ready. I made it to my final destination. Let me share screen.
Sure.
What is it showing? Is it showing the minimax.com or is it showing the other?
Yeah, it's giving a minimax.com. I mean, something like
It's
minimax.
yellow. It's
Yeah.
yellow and red.
Yeah, it's yellow. Yeah.
Okay.
So
It's
maybe,
changing.
and as you get started, think about a 10 to 12-minute window. So that way we
Yeah,
can the Carlos
sure.
next.
I'm going to be real quick about this. So Minimax, I actually heard about it through the AI Collective email, and it was a hackathon. And what began my experimentation with Minimax, the Minimax agent, is I was at C3G, which is a career transition ministry, and a lady next to me, after she found out that I'm someone who knows a little bit about AI, asked me about an AI app that she was using for job search. And she asked me about it, and I said, there's so many AI stuff coming out, and I've used some where I felt like I was getting fraudulent job posts or they didn't match. So she and I joked that maybe we need a job match app similar to a dating app. So midway through, I think somewhere in here, it shows probably, let me back up, and it'll show if I don't log in to Minimax, it'll show the hackathon, or it's not a hackathon, it's a challenge. So whenever you participate in a hackathon or a challenge, often you get credits to use a tool, and I don't see that. Here it is. This was the challenge. So I entered midway through. I got, as a new user in Minimax, I got 1,000 credits, and then participating in it does say hackathon, but it's really an AI agent challenge. The first week was in the past, but I took a week to explore this tool, and they gave me 5,000 credits. So you had to submit, you had to do a quick video that you post on either Twitter or YouTube, and you actually use the tool. So sorry if this is in the way, I don't have my second monitor up. If I go, so now do you see the actual agent.minimax.io?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I go to the top by pressing this arrow, it shows my first prompt, a simple paragraph text, no code. So what I love about agents or generative AI today is that it can really teach us how to communicate with humans, because it says, okay, I received your task. I'm going to analysis and and it's like a back and forth communication. It's giving you the opportunity to clarify, etc. So the final project was really a prototype, not a full working app. But anytime I engage in this agent Minimax application, which is very similar to a generative AI or LLM, my interaction is in blue on the right-hand side. The response of this comes in as regular text on the left, generally. So anytime you see blue, that's me. So it confirms, it says perfect, it says what it's going to do. And throughout this whole project, it deployed 3 agents without me even asking it to. It deployed a backend agent. First it deployed a research agent. Then it deployed the backend agent. Then it finally deployed the website agent. So I would come back and forth throughout the course of 5 days. So after it responds to my prompt, I'll come back and then I'll say continue because it's waiting for some interaction. And it just continues. I can probably share this whole thread with people. So this was my first time integrating SUP-based integration. And Carlos probably can answer, what is that exactly? So I'm a new user kind of diving into this. If you call this vibe coding, I probably would, because basically it's no code, low code, and it built a web app for me. So at some point I said, give me step-by-step instructions to do this integration. If you see above here, it gave me 3 things, like it's suggesting how it can help me. And I selected one. So I selected an agent managed backend with SUP-based. And then I did the connection, and then it confirmed that it was connected. And it said it completed the website building. Anyway, let me just go through this quickly, because it could probably take longer than I intended. So it did a first iteration of the web app. I'm not going to open it, but I didn't like the job match name. So at some point, I took it through a branding experiment, and it rebranded it. The final rebrand was, I think, career to swipe. But anyway, so it even gave me, like, if I were to deploy this, what does it take to go to market strategy? And it gave me even timeline and described technical infrastructure, legal compliance, and other things, even giving me funding budget for this potential app, which I thought was very insightful. And then it gave me suggestions as to what would you like me to do. And then I selected one again, which was start with technical infrastructure. So then it did, and I think this is where it deployed this full stack website dev agent. And meanwhile, when it's working, you'll see it thinking, and it'll put a to-do task, and it'll show when it's complete. It's a little literal check mark. And on the posting on the challenge website, when you post it there, it does like a review, and it runs through like it's playing through the whole experience all the way to the end. So it's fascinating how you could just watch how it was built. So here was where I brainstormed on a better app name, and it gave me different choices. And I think I changed it, swipe for careers, what I ended up with.
Got it.
So it fills in the blank. There are conversations about solopreneurs and having multiple agents, and you're the agent boss. So in a way, you don't no longer need a marketing team to brainstorm on branding and stuff. You get a full sweep of different names for it. And I think Job exists. And I think that was the app the lady at C3G was telling me about that. Anyway, let me just go ahead to the bottom and show the app. And I'll share this with the group so you could go through each detail of it. Where is it?
What is this, Ryan, an alternative to? Is it a agent building studio, or what is the point of this tool?
Minimax has lots of different tools: video, speech, music.
Okay.
So this challenge was focused on the Minimax agent. So I should copy
But it
this.
sounds like this seems to be more comparable to the Lovable and the Replets of the world, the Minimax agent, where they have an agent available that you can use to vibe code with.
Okay.
Yeah. So I shared that in the chat, so you can explore that on your own.
Okay.
Let me just see if I could go to the last. Deploy it. I don't know if I'm on Pro because I was a hackathon participant, but it does show that. So where is my little? Before I forget, I'll share this in the chat too, and then I'll see if I can find the little tab that takes me to the app, the web app. So there's send. There's the full agent. If I go up and then just go back down, maybe it'll show me where it is. No. Okay, hold on. Here it is. Open swipe for career. The demo is what I'll go through, but all the web content, I even rebranded with coloring and other stuff. I also had it do the story brand concept where I'm the guide, the client, the job seeker's the hero. So a lot of the messaging changed. So if we go to try to demo, This is sample data. Should be able to shrink that, right? Yeah, there. So you literally can swipe left, and the hope is that the algorithms in the back or the AI in the back would say, okay, we're not going to send any more of those. So it's going to improve if you swipe left, it improves the algorithm. Swipe right, then it does a automatic application. But reality is you need to have the human involved in the application so you could customize the cover letter and tweak your resume. So basically, quick swipe left or swipe right, and yeah, that would not be relevant to me. And you go
Like
through the
the
jobs that
white concept.
Yeah.
yeah, which is
So
kind of
where
like
are
the
you
dating
fetching all
app
this?
idea.
Where are you fetching the job roles from?
Sample data.
Sample data. Okay.
But
But
there,
can
if
you plug
if
it
But
to
it
say
had a
go to the
research,
internet?
but it
I
suggested to add a research agent also, right? So technically you could have it connected to the internet to search.
So if you look closely at the code, I don't know if I could search it. It would be helpful if I could search the code to be able to find it. But there is Adzuna is I think it's tied to LinkedIn. I don't know. It would be able to pull the data directly from job boards.
Okay.
So that I was not able to get that to work, but I was working on that, and then I just finally just submitted it
Okay.
to have a submission. It's again a prototype, not a full functioning.
Sounds good.
So
And what happens to the data? So when you swipe, you save it somewhere?
it would apply, but that I can't demo that because again, this is a prototype.
Okay.
But this is where you would see your applications, you would see how
Mhm.
many you applied to. And again, this is not based on what I swiped, but you'd have a dashboard where you could
I see.
see and
Must be
see
getting
which one,
powered by Supabase.
yeah, offered, interviewing, applied. I did actually I couldn't get this going, but if you were ready to take control, there's a continue with LinkedIn. So that would be how I'm wondering if because LinkedIn has an easy apply, if that could tie into it. It doesn't work as far as if you click continue with LinkedIn or even if you continue with email, because again, if I had more time and if I had a team, obviously we could probably have submitted a functioning application. But for me, it's all about just getting in there and building based on just a paragraph. So I just find each time that I came back to this tool, I was helping my uncle pack up his restaurant in North Carolina, and I spent 4 hours that night from 8 to midnight. And it was fine because my aunt was in the room and she was snoring. So it was like just a way, I couldn't sleep anyway. I would literally post or give it some type of feedback, wait for it to run its cycle, and then I look and see if it needed my response or interactions.
No, everything makes sense. I think what you've effectively done is you had an idea by yourself working with the agent, were able to get this, understand that you didn't hook it up to LinkedIn or connect it to a database, but you have a separate dashboard, you have some idea of a workflow. And if this idea is good enough and if this idea or any idea is good enough, then you can take it to the next logical
Right.
step.
Yeah.
So you feel empowered now?
Oh, absolutely. The way I viewed it was I'm like the boss or the product owner. And every
Yeah.
time I engaged or even had it jump a track, that's like the product owner coming in and saying, wait a minute, let's rebrand it, or hey,
Right.
let's do this, or whatever. So it would follow your direction, but maybe if I have experience as a product owner, there's some type of framework. And I did a little bit of research on that to understand, okay, first we work on this, then we work on this, then we work on this, and then it comes together. And in some ways, the Minimax agent did have some type of guidance. So you're almost trusting the
Right.
application to do it versus your knowledge. So I have a marketing background. I do have a big data certificate in big data and data analytics, and I've used Python, and have worked on VS Code, and I have taken an agent a web app that was developed in Perplexity while
Got it.
I
Okay.
used Task, and I deployed it in GitHub. So I'm a look from a marketing perspective, I think I'm more tech savvy in the coding and analytics and other stuff. So normally, I don't think a marketing person would be able to do what I've been doing.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, Rainer, for showing
You're
this.
welcome.
And I think this is example of one of the things we wanted to foster through this community is where people come and share what they've been building. I definitely picked up a couple of things. So let me take a quick, I'll show you something real quick. I think Brian had a question about how we were using Comet. So I'll just show that and then we can jump to you, Carlos. So I'll share two observations. So first is I've been probably using Comet for about a month now. So the impetus to that came from Swati sent this email. Let's say after the first or second session, there were like 15 people there. And then it was my turn to set up a Saturday meeting like this to say, hey, here is the all the attendees. And I was like, oh, I can't really sit and copy every person from here to do it. So I just would go to Comet. I told Comet, hold on, where's my calendar? I told Comet, I opened the assistant here, Brian, and I would just say, and I would have the Gmail open. I said, copy all the people to whom Swati sent the email and create an email invite for Saturday. Okay, that's literally all I did. Okay. And then it would create it. It knew what to do. It created the agenda and everything, right? Same, I'm just showing an example of what I just typed now to show. I could run a quick thing to say, can you double check if all the attendees that came on Tuesday, which was our third session, have already been added to the session, this community hour session? So it went through this, it picked up my calendar, and you can see I've written it in a pretty NLP or natural language format to say, look at this workshop that we ran from 6 to 8:30, look at this meeting and make sure. So it has given me all the details. And the only person missing was Fiorella, who is the wife of Donald. So I'm like, okay, I didn't have to add her anywhere. But this is a quick example of when you are looking at certain data on the browser, and if you wanted to do certain things, you could use your agent for administrative activities such as this. Okay.
Got it.
And
That's how, yeah.
I can share a few more examples. Sri, let me share quick.
I just did one. And it works so cool. While Swati pulls it up, I'm looking for a car for my son. And so if you pull up the car specs and just pull up your assistant and say evaluate whether this is a good deal, it does the math and it tells you whether it's a good deal. And it's pretty useful in all those cases.
Yeah, it's really good for especially like you're doing some shopping here, right? You're analyzing data. So you can effectively ask it to go do that research for you in context of whatever it is that you have on your screen. A lot of people are also using it for travel, right? Like finding good deals, basically. Yeah, lots of good examples. One more I'll share. So for those of you who've not seen Comet before, I actually have switched to Comet as my default browser at this point. I love it so much. And this is my AI assistant over here. So I recently asked my Comet assistant, I launched it and I say, hey, can you tell me all the tabs that I have open? So this was pretty much what all tabs do I have open currently on this browser, right? Didn't put much thought into it. And it summarized all the tabs I have. And from here, I can give it a command to close something, open something, summarize where I'm spending my time from a productivity standpoint. So it just so happened that I accidentally closed a tab. And I did not know how to go back to it because it was a white paper I had launched from LinkedIn. So I simply gave it a command and said, hey, accidentally close the PDF on LinkedIn CDN, which was in this list of content it had identified as the content that was open on my screen. Let's see if I can find it. LinkedIn CDN, somewhere over here. Right here, actually the last one. So I just said, hey, accidentally closed it. Can you open it again? And I'm actually gonna maybe just do it again so you all can see it in action. That's another way to think about it, right? The other thing I do is to scrape nested information. So for those of you who have gone through our workshops, one of the things I share is like a full list of, or a pretty extensive list of remix links from Mind Studio. So when I was putting those links together, I was literally initially, again, sometimes you don't lead with that AI first mindset always. And a lot of it was pre-Comet. And I was clicking into each and I was generating this remix link for each of my agents that I've built in Mind Studio. Instead, I just launched Comet Assistant, and I said, can you find me the remix URL from the first 10 agents on my tab, link can be found nested under the 3-dot menu. I don't even put much thought into it. List agent name and remix. Let's see what it does.
So Brian, one of the benefits it does is instead of having to upload some document from your computer to ChatGPT, it already knows what you're looking at. So you're also saving some time to send information back and forth. You're just telling it, this is what I'm looking at, take a look at the same thing and do it for me.
So everything you're seeing, it's taken over my browser. If you notice, I'm not doing anything. Sometimes I do have to explicitly tell it to take over my browser, but most times it knows the context and it does it. So as you can see, it's going through each row, each line item here, clicking in the 3-dot menu, copying the remix link and saying, okay, I've copied, let's move to the next. And once it's done, it's going to give me that list. I can copy and paste it in the document. Okay, so to Shree's point, anything, if you have something on the browser and you're trying to do something, make sense of the data, you're trying to extract information, you're trying to summarize information, like Sash said, if you're trying to do shopping and do some analysis, you can launch the assistant, the built-in assistant in your Comet browser to go do it for you.
Yeah, like I just give you another shopping. I can say, go find a USB-C wire that is rated more than 4-star under $20, and I can have Amazon open. It can start searching for you.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
So
very helpful. Thank you.
yeah.
In your case, Brian, for instance, if you're doing prospecting, anything from a biz dev standpoint, and you have your LinkedIn open on your browser and you're logged in, you can send Comet Assistant to work because LinkedIn by default will not extend the APIs unless you pay for it on the developer plan to extract this data.
Got it.
A lot of times I will have Assistant also analyze my followers data, my connections data for me. I just go to those views. Again, use cases are endless. If you see it on your screen, tell Comet Assistant to do something that is useful for you. Give it a try.
No, this was very useful for me to understand Comet's capabilities, but it brought another question to my mind related to Assistant. And the question it brought to my mind is, here we are saying, Comet open, create an assistant, ask it a question, anything on the browser interface, it goes ahead and finds a thing. But there is all this concept called multi-agent solutions. You have not one agent, 10 agents, and the output of one agent goes to another. This agent does certain job. So from framework in order to have multiple agents talk to each other, what are the tools and methodologies available to go there? And that's question number 2. And the first question is, when do you determine that you really need multiple agents for a particular application?
So Kumar, so if you're asking a bit about it from you building your own app, you have to decide in this app, is there multiple agents, a scenario or a situation or not, right? So Comet, we used it as a consumer, right? Behind the scenes, 100% there are multiple agents working together, right? So one of them is searching, it is fetching the data, the other one is showing the information to you while the other one is still searching. So they already have a mix of agents running to solve your problem as a consumer. So if your question is more like, I want to build my product and I want to do multiple things at once, so you're the one that has to sit and decide how to do it. And there are other packages like Crew AI that really talk about, you can build it on your own. You can write your own orchestration engine, or you can buy other orchestration engines available where you say, do this first, do this in a deterministic way, do it in a non-deterministic way. There are options for you to plug and play all these things.
Yes, my question was related to me building an application which requires multiple agents. That was really the thing. But I didn't know what I need to have as an infrastructure and tools in order to do that. And one of your input was Crew AI is an orchestration agent which can multiple agents to do work, and it could be a platform you use when you want to create multiple agents and string them together in an application. Did I understand what you
Correct.
said
Yes. Yeah.
correctly?
So yeah, look at Crew AI, and then if you have 5 things doing, you can send all 5 things, and it says, if this person comes and is there a coordinator, how will you traffic coordinate a lot of those things? So Crew will help you do it.
And there are other frameworks also, Kumar. Maybe I know you're scheduled to attend the session. You'll probably understand where even what you're seeing on our screens today, what Sri was showing, for instance, or what we were covering with Comet, you're seeing these built-in assistants, or even what Rena was showing, right? These are built-in assistants, and the assistant has a task, right? They have a role and they do a specific task. So when Shri was talking about his agent in Cursor, it generates vibe code, right? It generates code, both for front end and back end. When Rena was doing the same, it was basically vibe. She was also vibe coding. She was vibe coding in another tool, and that agent was also built with a role and a task to generate code. Conversely, the agent that I was using in Comet is geared towards more computer vision. If I can see it on your screen, if I can access it, I can do something with it, right? So that's generally the capabilities of that agent. And then from a task or role standpoint, it's a general purpose agent. You give it a task and it'll go do that task. Behind the scenes, all of these agents, what we see is the interface agent, right? It's the orchestrator agent. Behind the scenes, it's probably calling a lot of other agents to validate the work, for instance. If you were to build something yourself, I know Shri shared about Crew AI, another good tool, definitely look into it. But technically, there are protocols like A2A and MCP also, that MCP is more for calling tools, but A2A protocols where if you have agents on different systems also, you can use these protocols to call agents from one place to another, orchestrate these.
So if I can follow up with the question, the way I understand MCP is a way for an application specific agent to provide a means for communicating with it. What I mean by that is, if I'm looking at SAP data, if I'm looking at Salesforce data, I can have an MCP connected to SAP, which says, if you want to call anything related to SAP, use the MCP agent to call it. You used another word called A2A, and I don't know how to A2A fix with MCP, but these assume that there is an application from where you want to get data and build an agent through a protocol called MCP. But the application I'm thinking of right now is building a digital twin solution. And there are various tasks to be done, and it is not based on any standard application. So I don't have an MCP there. I don't know what a A2A is there. And I know that I need multiple agents. Is it Crew AI one of the
You
frameworks I
can
can
look at
consider?
Crew AI as one of the tools, or you have to write your own orchestrator. There is, I don't know, I've not spent much time on AutoGen, but Crew is the closest I can think of.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, cool. So we have about 30 minutes. So Carlos, you want to go next?
Sure, thank you. I just wanted to add to this discussion, very interesting discussion. I think, and this is part of my own conclusions, I don't want to pontificate here. There are two layers or two very clear stages of development. Everything that we saw in your seminar, most everything, and everything that we've been discussing here, that's what I call personal productivity layer, personal productivity phase, which is how we, the human, interact with a lot of tools and every time more to do stuff.
What I'm loving about this session is between everything that everybody has shared, clearly everybody's passionate about using AI to build something. That's what's been evident on this call today. Definitely sounds like we're bringing the right people along. So thank you for sharing all of that. I know we only have 5 minutes to go. It's a Saturday. I want to make sure people are able to get back to their day on time. So to summarize real quick, or just to close things out, one of the things Shri and I are looking into is some kind of a weekly or a bi-monthly digest where we can post updates on new evolution in this space, whether it's models worth watching and putting on your radar, it's new tools worth putting on your radar, any new capabilities worth exploring. And of course, anything that we talk about and write about are things that we have firsthand tried and tested. So we're not just sharing tools, we're not following hype. Let me just put it that way. Shri and I are very, very intentional and thoughtful about what tools we're going to talk about. And I should also mention our focus is not so much on the tool itself. For those of you who've attended the workshop, you'll see our focus is more on establishing a framework of thinking on what kind of capabilities are out there in the form of these tools and how you can leverage these tools for the various tasks you're going to perform throughout your day or what you're going to build throughout the day. So that's really where we're coming from. So we're not talking about tools for the sake of it, but just to keep everyone posted. We are going to post something today on the WhatsApp group. So we'll talk about 3 things in any updates, in any weekly or bi-monthly update that we do. And it's ranging from models to watch out for, or capabilities to watch out for, or tools that we are starting to switch to. But what we're looking from all of you is feedback. If there are other topics you want us to cover, if this is helpful or not, or even like Rena, you brought today, Carlos, you brought today, all of you have contributed today in this call in how you're using the tools. So at some point, we can even broaden this so that we can curate content from the community members also and publish it out there. Okay, so just wanted to put it on everyone's radar, but we'll put something super basic today. See if it helps. Maybe some of it would be relevant to some of you at least. But just keep the conversation going and keep sharing and exploring together.
Yeah. And we're not, again, to Swati's point, sending news, Oracle did this or this happened in the news. It's more applicability of, Carlos showed something called Warp the other day. I was like, what's Warp? And then maybe I didn't use Warp, but I did not necessarily know there was a Gemini CLI. Okay. But I saw, oh, there's Gemini CLIs available. So I said, let me go play around with it when I don't have access to Claude. So these are incremental tools that will help you as a builder. So that's really what we're looking for. And then right now we're thinking about getting started somewhere. But to Swati's point, if there are things that you want to add, we want to grow the community and keep it active. I think, yeah, that's, yeah, a lot of it is we are learning as we go, much most other people that are here, but definitely there is a lot of positive energy that all of us are bringing to the table. So I think that is really important. And the AI first mindset and builder mentality. So all of them are a good confluence of things to have within us.
So if we're not connected on LinkedIn, I guess go to the WhatsApp group, share your LinkedIn URL so we can all get connected. That'd be great.
That would be great. Yeah, introduce yourself, share your LinkedIn. I know we've not done that yet, or at least the initial evolution of this was coming out of a session, so everybody had already met by then. But as more people are coming together, I think it would be a useful exercise.
And then there is an element of us not being super corporate here because there is a personal aspect to a community as
Definitely.
opposed to building tools that, Discord, you don't really know the people, and Slack, I mean, it becomes very official or team. So we don't want to do such channels. We still want to keep it personable, interactive. Therefore, WhatsApp. Cool. All right, guys, sounds good. Have a good rest of the weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Shri and Swati, thank you very much for this initiative. I am loving it, really.
Thanks, so
Thank
this
you,
is great.
Swati and Shri. This is great. Appreciate it.
Joining everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.